While members of Parliament supported the amendments to the Maintenance of Religious Harmony Bill, they noted that added measures could be taken against those who incite hatred in a private setting.
Some also cautioned against allowing religion to influence policies and called for social harmony to be protected. Deborah Wong reports.
Some MPs pointed out that the distinction between the private and public space, as laid out in the new provision, could be problematic. What's discussed in a private setting could spread into the public space, especially in this digital age. But the new provision allows religious leaders to defend themselves if they can prove their message was meant for a private gathering.
The fact that there had been an incitement of enmity, hatred or ill will, even if it is in a private setting, could be a cause for concern. A more profound hatred could develop over time through repeated private discussions and with different groups of people.
MPs recognise that it's impractical to police private space and suggested a calibrated approach. Home Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam said this is where the new Community Remedial Initiative could be useful, but he made it clear that the government should not intrude too much.
Rationale for the defence is to recognise that there will be situations where the religious leader will want to speak unencumbered and can speak unencumbered, and we balance this with the potential for harm that a speech of a religious leader can cause. That's why defence for religious leaders is scoped tighter.
And while religious leaders have a right to preach their values, some caution that such values should not interfere with public policy.
The common view among religions does not by itself justify the use of the pulpit to influence public policy. They harm the feelings of those they condemn, and they create real risks of discrimination or violence against these minority groups. I hope religious leaders will promote their precepts constructively rather than destructively.
Mr. Tessera said the bill should also consider social harmony, in addition to its primary goal of religious harmony. In response, Mr. Shanmugam said that the role of the law was to set boundaries for how conversations are carried out, so that any discourse can be constructive. The debate also touched on the importance of maintaining secularism in the political space.
As we look towards tomorrow's Singapore and as we enter the 4G era, this House must ensure that the public space continues to be a secular and safe space for all Singaporeans, regardless of creed. While the terrain of religion and politics is not without its difficulties, it is critical that restraint, mutual respect, and equanimity define how politicians and religious leaders operate in Singapore.
Mr. Singh questioned if political leaders should be seen engaging in religious events. To that, Mr. Shanmugam said it's essential to manage the relationship with wisdom and common sense in a transparent manner.
For government leaders to cut off, not have contact with religious leaders will not be wise. Good, deep friendships between government leaders and religious leaders are extremely important. It helps to build trust, build bonds, and that is important for society as a whole and allows issues to be dealt with in an atmosphere of trust. But the key is to do it with wisdom, clarity of position and mutual understanding.
While MPs supported the bill, they added that legislation can only do so much. They urged Singaporeans to uphold values of mutual respect, as social and religious harmony cannot be built overnight.